As Aaron Jones breaks loose. Aaron Jones, he's headed for the end zone. And he's going to be in with a Packer touchdown.
Yep, you're watching the start of the Lions implosion. It once 14-3 lead became a 24-14 deficit, and it only got worse from there, but it only gets better from here as I welcome in the king of the world, Dennis Fithian fifth. I thought they were going to hang in the game, have a chance. Of course, I was wrong. The Lions got their asses kicked, and yet again, false hope. It doesn't get much worse being a Lions fan, does it?
No, it doesn't get much worse. That was a disgusting performance. That was very torturous watching and now having to watch it back just the whole way through or hearing Myers say, it's up there, it's not there, it's no good there. It was terrible, man. And I'm used to the fans and some of the media already turning on the team, but to hear like you turn on the team and the beat writers just almost en masse, they've all turned on the team as well. It's, you know how you oftentimes hear teams like, no, everybody counted us out. It was us against the world. I think it is factual for the Lions. It is them against the world, certainly against the Cards this Sunday, because I don't think anybody thinks they're winning this game.
No, and we'll get into that in a second here. And just welcome into Football Friday. Fifth and I are here for you every Friday, going over the big Lions game of the week before and what's coming up. We have our daily fantasy stuff for you, our NFL picks and all that stuff. So it's a joint task force. Good afternoon production, and we love that you're here. And Fifth, you said it. I got to take it off. I can't keep watching that. It just kept getting worse and worse. You're welcome. But it's so good to see you as always, Dennis. I love you and miss you. All is well with the family. And I know you're not of my persuasion, but I want to wish you a Happy New Year anyway. The Jewish New Year, you're part of my clan. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Lashana Tova, as we say. So it's one of these things where you mentioned it. It's week 2. I actually tweeted that the tweet, not verbatim, but close to it, was I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the Lions suck. Because that's where I'm at right now. And for me, Mr. Prince of Positivity and never give up and never surrender, this team's terrible, Dennis. And they've got a bad coach that I was wrong about. I mean, maybe down the road somewhere else he's good. But Patricia's a mess. The team doesn't have a killer instinct. There's no dagger time. They just get daggered. And I don't think that there's any chance they can recover. I mean, never say never. But right now, I have very, very little faith that anything will change aside from the Lions winning a few games and then Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia getting fired.
Yeah, I'm right there with you here. The too bad part is about Stafford. I mean, he's one guy you can usually have confidence in, but you can pick apart some of his game-turning performance there,
Right.
like taking the sack in the first game, throwing the pick six, taking another sack last week. He hasn't been up to it either. But, yeah, man, Matt Patricia sticking with the same old thing here. It doesn't matter if it's Corey Undlin, doesn't matter what's going on there. And Bob Quinn, everything that he's done here, it was really striking to see that Aaron Jones was a 5th-round draft pick a couple of years ago out of UTEP for the Packers, and just what he was doing, slicing up the Lions. And then this year, the Lions' 5th-round pick was a running back that couldn't even make it out of training camp. They cut. And if you think about it, last year, Kenyon Drake for the Dolphins, you could have had him for a 5th-round pick. And now he goes to the Cardinals, and he's sitting there waiting on this Lions defense and licking his chops here. So these 5th-round picks have kind of top of mind here from week 2 to week 3. It's just thinking about Bob Quinn.
Oh, 2 things. One, I just wanted to say, you look fantastic. So whatever you're doing, you need to tell me what to do because I want to look as good as you do. And also, I love that mic, the headphones, where it says Fithian. How do you get the little headphones in there? It's pretty solid.
Moji.
You're the Moji master, and you got the Eastern Michigan hat. So I can't even come close to being on the level of the Fifth today. I'm just happy to be here. I do have my Barry Sanders jersey. Those were some days. Can we go back to those days, maybe? And I got my space coat, which hopefully doesn't get too cold late in the next couple of months. But Fifth, let's move forward here and talk about this game against the Cardinals. And I'll throw up some stuff here on Kyler Murray, some numbers on him, and obviously you mentioned Matthew Stafford. It's one of these things where I feel like the Lions are getting 5.5 to 6 points right now, and you look at the Cardinals who have the opposite record of the Lions. Lions 0-2, Cardinals 2-0. Seems like the future is bright for them with young Kyler Murray. Lions going in the opposite direction. I feel like this is a game the Lions would win because it would give you this false sense of hope. But at the same time, I have zero trust in the Lions. They've had so many problems going out to Arizona in the past. We know what happened last year in that stupid tie game and the Bevel timeout, Stafford saying, trust me, and all that kind of stuff. Where are you at with this Cardinals team? Are they going to put the Lions out of their misery and go 0-3?
Yes, I think so. I can't see it any other direction. It makes me feel a lot like last week's game. I would lay 9.5 points to take the Cardinals. The one thing, Kyler Murray through 3 quarters in that opener last year, he looked small, and it looked like, wow, man, this guy really is not ready for this in the NFL. But then you saw in the fourth quarter last year what he was all about. And with a year under his belt, looking at him through the first 2 games, there was one play that he had where he did just like skip to my Lou and then went into the end zone as he ran in for the Cardinals, man. There's nobody that's playing better right now than Kyler Murray. The game slowed down for him. And DeAndre Hopkins, man, I was wondering, as I have him in a keeper league in fantasy, what it was going to be like for him going to the Texans to going to, the Cardinals. He's been better, man. They're running different routes for him. They just pound the ball to him. He's a target monster. And the Lions don't have anybody to stop either of those guys. The matchups aren't there. Kenny G being back, Kenny Galladay potentially for the Lions is pretty good, but not Hopkins, not Murray, not a defense that can't stop anybody and can't get aligned. Kenyon Drake's licking his chops. I just don't see any way that the Lions win this game.
Yeah, and Fifth, the Cardinals have scored 24 and 30 points respectively so far this season. Against that Lions secondary, which is non-existent, are they going to score 45? I mean, that to me, the Lions with Stafford, you saw some of the numbers. Stafford was a terrible 88.1 passer rating. But if he gets Galladay back, maybe the Lions can score some points. They can't score 50. I mean, the Lions aren't going to score 50 points. So how many can they give up before they are out of this game with Kyler Murray and Hopkins and that offense in Arizona?
Well, that's it. They'll press. And what we've seen here is that even if Stafford's got something going a little bit, he's been mistake prone here, throwing into bad coverages, throwing the pick sixes. And it's hard to say that, he's going to be able to eliminate that, especially being, even though they're not going to have that much of a crowd there, or if any crowd, but it's still on the road. They got to fly out there. It's hard to have any confidence on either side of the ball, but really on the defensive side, they're not getting aligned right. They're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. It's the same story from last year. They're banging their head against the wall, and they know they got here and have their idea of how to play defense. It's just not working, and it just doesn't set up well for them. They can't. How are they going to stop Kyler Murray? How are they going to stop DeAndre Hopkins? I don't have any confidence that they have any of those answers. I think this line should probably move up to 8.5, 9.5. And I bet there'll be a lot of money coming in on the Cards.
Yeah, Fifth, the crazy thing is, I mean, you and I love, how the odds work. So like 86% of the money, both sharp and public, is on Arizona, but the line is not moving. It's actually going down a little bit. But with what you just said, you might see such heavy steam on the Cardinals over the next few days that it could go to 7, 8, or 8.5, something like that, 9 points. Because I've seen predictions like 41-14, 35-10. One guy I saw out west had 50-7. So I think that right now, unless the Lions play just a completely different game they play in the first 2 weeks of the season, and Stafford gets Galladay at a couple of touchdowns, and Adrian Peterson rushes for 100 yards, and Kerryon Johnson looks like the best parts of his career, I can't see the Lions winning. So I hate to do it. 0-3. I'll give the Lions the cover. I have the Cardinals winning this game 32-27. What about you?
I'm going 31-20 Arizona to win it, but there is a thought here, and it happens every week 3 of every NFL season. You have your 0-2 teams, you have your 2-0 teams, and you don't want to go 0-2 to begin with if things look lost, but you go 0-3, you really know it's gone for you. So there's this thought about your backs are against the wall and you have to win. There's every year, if you pound all of the 0-2 teams and then bet against the 2-0 teams, I think you get come out with a pretty good record there, just based on the dire consequences.
Desperation.
Yeah, the desperation. That's right. Not an up and down theory, but really backs against the wall. Season's going to be over this quick. So there's a lot of people that play that theory just out of hand. Don't even look at the matchups. But I'm looking at this matchup, and my number one rule is never to do anything against or for the Lions, but I am picking it. I just don't see a road for them winning this game.
Yeah, isn't it just, and it's, Fithian and I have done so many shows together, Lions pre-post, whatever, covering the Lions. And I got to ask you, because you know me for a long time, I have not been this low on the Lions this early in the season, maybe in my entire life. I have officially given up. I mean, they suck. And I feel like, obviously, it's early on. So if they win this game, maybe there's a small sliver, things can get back on track. But to me, this season seems headed for a total disaster. Total disaster.
Well, things haven't been this bad since Matt Patricia's first year when they lost to the Jets. They were actually able to rebound after that. But you remember last year when they tied against the Cardinals, it was the same feeling. And even though they rebounded from that, it felt like the season was over. It felt like the season was over week 1 against the Bears. So it's one thing that Matt Patricia has done here in the 3 years. Right out of the gate, man, you just completely lose confidence in this team. And even though they've been able to rebound in those first 2 years somewhat, then they just fall apart. And the week 1, you were justified in thinking that. It also reminds me of 2015. They were coming off that playoff loss to the Cowboys, the tough call. We knew something.
Playoffs.
We knew something, smelled like a rat there in Dallas with those tough calls. And they lost the game, but they had their entire defense coming back. Instead of Sue, they had Haloti Ngata, and I thought that 2015 was going to be the year for them, but they came out of the gate terrible. Remember, they lost to Seattle on that bat ball out of the end zone. It was the Broncos, and the season was over before that one really got going, and it was a 1-7 start. This one feels a lot like 2015 or 2017 or 2018, 2019. This season has the feelings of those 3 Detroit Lion campaigns.
Yeah, please don't bring up that Broncos game. They'll never hear the end of it from Jeff Ringer's brother Dave, who just is, his team sucks too right now. But, in the Lions, not much to speak of. So we'll see what happens this weekend, and we'll have it covered for you next week on Football Friday, of course. As always, a good afternoon Task Force production. Dennis, one thing that's been going really well is our picks. We were both 2-1 last week, right off the precipice of going 3-0. You ready for our week 3 sizzling NFL picks?
Yeah, it's crazy. I had going one direction, and then some of the injuries came in and started thinking about it more, and I flipped on a lot of games. So this can happen right up to game time. But, of course, a lot of the information coming in on the injuries today, I am ready to go.
All right, well, let's start with a game that I've been on both weeks on this show and both weeks in general, the Raiders. I love the Raiders getting the 6 last week. I loved them in week 1 against Carolina. Now they play Cam Newton and the Patriots in New England. It was a 6-point spread. It's down to 5.5. How are you feeling with the Raiders and the Patriots?
Well, I like how the Raiders look, but what I really like about them, Darren Waller's a star, and Jacobs has been running the ball well, but I really liked Henry Ruggs, and I was ready to take that 5.5 until I saw that Henry Ruggs is going to be out of this game, and that's the tough part to me, and that's what has me flipping over and taking the Patriots in this one. I know James White, if James White does come back, it was a terrible story about what happened with his family here. But if he does come back, I could see that guy having a huge game. I could also see the Patriots here just coming back home after a loss. And, Cam Newton looks good to me. I like the Pats here. And even though that's a big number with Ruggs being out, I'll take the Patriots 26-20.
Yeah, Cam Newton looks like, Super Bowl Cam Newton, not the actual Super Bowl game. Super Bowl season Cam Newton is MVP. So for me, and I'm with you on the Henry Ruggs thing, but you look at this Raiders team, and I said it before the season, they were going to be a possible surprise team in the AFC. Garbage last year, injuries, but they drafted well. I like Derek Carr still. Josh Jacobs, the running game is so important in the NFL. So while there is no Henry Ruggs, the third, I love Vegas with the points in this one. I do get worried about what you said with Cam Newton. He's playing so well, but the 5 and a hook, it might go to 6. Obviously, last week I mentioned all over the Raiders. They were getting 6, 5.5 at one point, went down to 4 against the Saints on Monday Night Football. By the way, the Raiders, stat for you, 2-0 in opening stadiums, so that's pretty solid. But I think they're going to have enough, Fithian, to get the job done, at least to cover against Cam and the Patriots. I like the Raiders, plus the 5.5 to go 3-0 against the spread in the young season. How about this game? I was on the Seahawks last week. I believe you were too. -4 against the Patriots. I know it got close at the end, but they should have covered that regardless. They covered by a point. Now they host the desperate Cowboys. We talked week 3, desperation. Seahawks -5, my friend. Russell Wilson right now, it's obviously not going to happen. But if they voted, he'd be the MVP of the NFL. How you feel at Seahawks Cowboys?
Well, I think Russell Wilson, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception, the way he's got it going, they're letting him cook. And they also, Jamal Adams, the way that they're using him, a lot of people didn't like that trade, but you know what? They gave up those first-round picks. He's flying all around. He's like playing a little linebacker there. It feels like a little bit of a little Legion of Boom. I love the Seahawks. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, even though I picked them to go to the Super Bowl before the season, they got guys dropping like flies over on the defensive side.
Yep.
And I just love the way Seattle looks there. And while I love the 4:25 late game here. This is going to be an awesome one here. I'm going to take the Seahawks to cover again, 38-33, another high-scoring game.
All right, I like it. And this one, I think the Cowboys are not. I thought they were going to be a really not, irrelevant team, but not nearly as good as a lot of people thought. Super Bowl wise, they're still capable of being that kind of team in the NFC, but I'm not there yet with them. And I think the Seahawks at home, Russell Wilson. I know it's a desperate Cowboys team in certain ways because you want to have a winning record after 3 weeks. I think Seattle's going to be too much. I'll lay the points. I'll give you a score as well. I'll go Seattle 34. Dallas 24. Kind of a lot of games going over the total fifth, so a points palooza, if you will. But I like the Seahawks as well. So far, actually, you took the Patriots, right? Yeah, the Patriots, and you've got the Seahawks. So we're different on one game so far. Same thing happened last week. But now, how about this one? Common theme: you had the Saints play the Raiders last week. You had the Lions play the Packers last week. How about the Saints and Packers? Sunday Night Football, the Saints sitting as a 3-point favorite. Green Bay and Rodgers has looked really good. They haven't really played anybody. The Lions are nobody. But see, the Saints status, the offense not great so far with Drew Brees. The defense much better. They give a lot of points up on the road of Monday Night Football last week to the Raiders. How do you feel about this? Are you going to buy the half point here, or are you taking the Packers?
I want to take the Packers here, but this is one of those where I feel like Drew Brees has been backed into a corner. They're talking about, 41 years old. He's lost it. Maybe they should put somebody else in. The big thing here is they don't have Michael Thomas. He's been ruled out. I would love the Saints if they had Michael Thomas. But you know what? Because Brees was called out here, this is a primetime game. This is the hardest game out of the bunch for me to pick. I can make an argument either side here, but in the end, I'm going to play Brees here, being at home, and with everybody calling him out, I think he shines. And it's not like he's doesn't have anything to work with. Kamara's looking pretty good. I'm going to take the Saints here to deal the Packers their first loss.
I couldn't have said it any better. I think you're absolutely right. It's one of those things where it's kind of the way I felt last night with the Dolphins. I mean, neither of those teams, Jacksonville or Miami, are great or anything, but everyone's on the Jaguars.
You were on the Dolphins last night?
I was on the Dolphins.
Oh,
Dolphins. Nice. I thought it was just the right side. Fitzmagic, Preston Williams, or Wilson. I was on Preston Wilson Williams scoring the first touchdown, 20-1, my friend. But I'll just say this: this is that kind of a game where everyone's going to be on the Packers. If you want to look at what both teams have done so far, you should be on Green Bay. But like you said, that's the key fit. Brees being called out. He doesn't have his top receiver, but he's still got a ton of weapons, a pretty decent defense, and they are at home. So I'm going to lay the 3, and I'm going to give you a Saints 31-26 win. So we're on the same side as everything, except like last week and the week before, except I've got the Raiders, you got the Pats. So let's both go 2-1 again. All right.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to take the Raiders, but the Ruggs thing is what did it for me and sent me over to the Pats.
Hey, I think you're making the smarter call, Dennis. That Raiders team, they're drawing me in. If the Lions are going to suck, I'm going to go Raiders. Yeah, so Dennis goes Pats -5.5, Seahawks -5, Saints -3. I go Raiders +5.5, Seahawks -5, Saints -3. All right, fifth, let's talk, if we may, on this joint production of the Task Force and Good Afternoon about fantasy football and some thoughts. We've had the first couple of weeks, by the way, the defending champ. I have the Jew, the Squatch, 0-2, need a win. But we've seen some guys start rising to the top. We've seen some guys underperform. What have you felt so far as we now are at I don't want to say a crossroads, but week 3 we're getting close to a quarter of the season, and you can really see what guys are doing on the good side and the bad side.
Well, what you really feel like is that you can be hit with injuries, and I know it happens every year, but I just look at my team, man. I had A.J. Brown, DJ Shark. I had
Baby Shark.
Yeah, and just down on my bench, some guys that I was looking to go to that I've kind of been forced into action. Some of it's worked out, like with Deontay Johnson, but man, the things that I've had to go to already, putting Devontae Parker in there last night. I didn't want to do that, but that's what I've had to do. So the waiver wire, man, making sure you jump on that, looking for guys like Myles Gaskin, who played in there last night, or there's a lot of different guys to go out there. How about the rookie running back for the Jags, throwing him out there and trying to pick up somebody like that? Yeah, Robinson. Yeah. But really, the story to me has been a couple guys that you say this every year, and I know you've picked quarterbacks and won leagues before, but people I say, you know what, go ahead and just fade back a little bit and jump on some guys. Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and Cam Newton. These guys have all been great fantasy-wise, quarterbacks, something that, just something that's jumped out at me. And Joshua Kelly, I know we talked about him last week, but yeah, Gaskin for the Dolphins and James Robinson for the Jags, guys that you probably didn't even hear of a week or two before, but all of these guys, playing that waiver wire, getting in there, trying to find a starter and a possible replacement. Just keep looking at that bench because you never know. You might need them ASAP.
Yep. By the way, I had Deontay Johnson on my bench as well, but we're both on him. It's a solid young receiver in Pittsburgh. And for me, Fifth, I echo what you say about the quarterbacks. Josh Allen, I know I let my nephew Warren the O's draft him later in his draft in our little family league. We're going to involve you in next year, hopefully. We're going to join the Squatch Family League. But you look at a guy like Josh Allen, can run for 100, can throw for 300, just such a valuable asset when it comes to fantasy. And also, you look at all the injuries so far this year. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. You got two of, I would say in many leagues, the top 3 picks. Some leagues, the top 2 picks. Both out. You got to go to Mike Davis, got to go to other guys. And people are spending way too much money on the fab wire, at least the leagues that I'm in, and other guys that are asking me, guys and girls asking me. So I've seen the injuries be a massive thing that's going to really make people manage their teams the right way. And as we've talked about, quarterback play. You got a guy like Josh Allen. You mentioned Kyler Murray. You got a guy like Kyler Murray. You don't need to have Patrick Mahomes. You don't need to have Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to have those guys that everyone loves to draft probably earlier than they should have. Like I took Pat Mahomes, number 10 overall in a 12-team league in the first round. I still feel fine about that. But what if I taken Josh Allen in the 7th round? What if I take Kyler Murray in the 4th or 5th round? So you've got to be just very careful of overvaluing players. But quarterbacks are coming to play. Injury is a major concern. And I'll tell you who I'm starting to like, who I've talked about before. Hayden Hurst, the tight end in Atlanta. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff from him going forward. You might be able to get him at a decent price as far as the trade goes right now. But so far, we love fantasy, you and I, Fed. I have the Jew needs a win this week. The defending champ can go 0-3. And I know your team, you had a solid season last year. You were in it down towards the end, weren't you?
Lost in the playoffs last year, yeah.
Yeah, right to the end. That's why we love it, my friend. But part of fantasy is obviously low-price stunners, my friend. And I'll let you go. You and I are on the same guy. You got a couple other ones, but we're on the same guy.
Yeah, daily fantasy is hard, man. I'll just tell you, this has been
really
a hard go. It is, but the key is being able to find a guy that you can get for low that's going to perform for you. And then, bringing in some meal tickets. But the hard part, man, it doesn't matter if you're playing 3, 5, 10 guys. You can have a pretty good team. But, with that algorithm, they've always sitting over there. They're popping some, like you have to almost pick a perfect team. And so it's hard to do. So with all that being said, I'm looking, Jonnu Smith. There's been a couple tight ends that people didn't think were tight end ones that have proven to be just exactly that. Jonnu Smith, he looks great. A.J. Brown is out. And, Tannehill, since their new offensive coordinator took over midway through last season, this guy has been like a top 5 quarterback. It doesn't sound real sexy. It doesn't feel really good pushing the button on Tannehill. But I'm stacking Tannehill and Jonnu Smith this week. And I'm looking down. There's, I just played the 1:00 games. The Browns are like the 7th, 8th team priced on defense. I think you get great value there. So Browns, Tannehill, and Jonnu Smith, and then I'm going to load up on the stars and see how I do in a 5-teamer.
Hey, I like what you're doing there. Like you said, it is so tough. You and I, we've had all these discussions about, are there robots playing against us? Are there guys going through the back door? It's so much fun, but it's so hard, Fifth. That's why you got to find those low price stars. Jonnu Smith, and I know there's a couple other guys out there. Hayden Hurst is another guy that's pretty inexpensive compared to some of the top level tight ends. Like back in the days of like a Gronkowski being $9,500, you can get a Jonnu Smith for $5,200. That's what you kind of got to look at right now. By the way, we got a question here from our friend Judah. He said he just traded Christian McCaffrey for Kamara, PPR. What do you think, Fifth? CMC for Kamara? I think they're both top-level guys, but right now CMC's giving you less value because he's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, if you were able to do it after the injury, then that was a real swindle. But, you could make a case for doing that even before the season started. These are top 3 picks. You're either taking Elliott, you're either taking Kamara, or you're either taking McCaffrey. So if you're able to do it after he went down, man, a fantastic move. Even if it was a dynasty move, that's a great move, seeing how young Kamara is. And Kamara looks great. It doesn't just look good. It looks great.
I've loved that kid since he kind of burst on the scene a couple years ago. One more here from Danny Martin. Who do I start this week, Wilson or Jackson, Fifth? I'll let you tackle that one first.
Wilson, who are we talking about?
Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson?
Oh, Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, well, you got 2 great quarterbacks to go with. I tell you, I love bringing the hammer on a Monday night with Lamar Jackson, and the way Russ has been going against the Cowboys, though, on a Sunday night, man, I almost feel like you want to flip a coin. I think those guys, you've got 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks there. You might have the top 2. So, you know what? I would take Lamar because of the rushing yards. But man, you can't go wrong there. You got to feel great either way you go. Don't worry about that. You pick one and feel great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a coin flip, and I'll tell you this: I'm on the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. I think that defense is going to give Jackson a little trouble. Not that it's going to give him a ton. No defense can give him that much trouble. And I think that Dallas, I'm just not that sold on them. I'm going to go with Russell Wilson in that scenario because he is balling. But Lamar Jackson's incredible. All right, Fifth, before we go, parting shots for you. It's great to see you. What weekend plans you got coming up? Anything with the GOATs? What do we got going on?
Tell you what, man, it's just a cornucopia of sports, man. Last night, I'm watching the Thursday night game. I'm watching the NBA Finals with the Nuggets and Lakers. I'm back tonight watching more hoops. And then really for the first time, college football, I watched the 7:30 game last week with the Canes and the Cards. The week before that, I took in a little bit of Duke Notre Dame. Week before that, I watched like 1 minute. But tomorrow, on all 3 levels, man, there's like at least 2 games to take a look at with the SEC coming in at noon. There's some 3:30 games that I like, and I'll be in the back with the U and Florida State and the 7:30 window. So a triple header tomorrow night, and then Sunday all day long, man. The hardest thing about Sundays here is it's just making it all through 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then the Sunday night game. Because man, I've been getting after it, food, going crazy, watching these games. By the time halftime comes around, my wife's like, "Are you watching football or what?" So I'm going to make a point to just it's tough, but I'm going to pace myself to make it to the 4th quarter of that Saints-Packers game coming up Sunday night.
Love it.
Is that the Sunday night game?
That's Sunday night game, my friend.
Yeah.
I'll give you a free play for tomorrow. You mentioned SEC. I like Kentucky plus the 7.
So do I. Outright.
Outright.
I like Kentucky outright. I looked at their offensive line. They got everybody coming back. But you know what? The Tigers, they have to replace almost everybody along the defensive front. Great offensive line, or a very good offensive line against a bunch of newbies there. I'll lay the points outright. I like the Kentucky Wildcats.
Hey, we didn't plan on this week. I just threw it up there. The outright underdog special is there. Fifth, I love you. It's always so much fun working with you. We'll do this every Friday. A joint task force good afternoon production of Football Friday. Fifth, love you, my friend.
Love you too. Last weekend in September. Everybody have a great weekend.
Yes, Happy New Year to all as well. For Dennis
Happy New Year.
Of Dan Leach, we love you. We'll see you next time. Until then, wash your hands, stay safe, spread love and hate, believe in the dream. Football Friday, out.